What's up again, everybody? Yeah, I don't know what's up with this Insta Live thing. It's crazy. So I got onto my Wi-Fi and we'll see if that works better. But as soon as Johnny tried to join in, it just ended. So we'll try this again. Oh, it looks like Danny's here. Danny's gonna watch. I don't think you can add two people at one time. Apparently there's enough problems trying to add one person at a time, let alone two people. So everyone that's saying what's up, what's up? Hope everybody's having a good day today. As soon as Johnny sends a request, we'll add him in here. Here he is. Let's see. All right. Here we go again, y'all. We're gonna try this shit again and see if it works. Go live with Johnny Three Tears. Yeah, yeah. I said Johnny Three Tears declined. All right, let's try. He's like, nah, fuck that shit. I ain't going live with this guy. All right, let's try it again. It says you can add up to four. Oh, that's what Daniel Avina says. You can add up to four people. I don't know. I don't think Johnny. No, he doesn't have. He's got an iPhone. I know he's got an iPhone because text messages got that iPhone thing. All right, here he's trying again. Instagram's just all fucked up for sure. Yo,
Am I in?
yo, you're in. What's up, bro?
Dude, I don't know what the deal is, bro. I think my phone's getting hacked or something, bro.
That's probably what it is. Them damn Russians are all up in.
Exactly, bro.
What's good, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. Just hanging, happy to talk, happy to chat. I was getting really frustrated with the this phone thing. I don't dude, I already told you this. You know this. I'm technologically inferior to, where we're at as a society, and I just don't understand all this stuff.
The big problem is, bro, is that the shit that they give us to work with doesn't fucking work. You know what I mean? So
Well, my phone's been fucking nuts too. Like where people keep texting me like, "Hey, I tried to call you," and I'm not getting calls. I didn't get a missed call and nothing.
yeah, dude.
So I don't know what's going on. It's Putin. It has to be.
It's always Putin, man. That motherfucker. He's always up in our shit, bro.
Dude, everything. The good thing about living in America is you could just blame everything on him.
Yeah,
If you lose your job, it's him. If the gas prices go up, hey, it's all Putin.
it is. You know, and I've been doing. Now, every time we write a dud, I'm like, yo, Putin was in the studio
Yeah,
that day.
exactly.
Fucking it up like fucking asshole, bro. And the crazy thing is the people that live over there love our shit. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Oh no, dude! Russia. That's actually my favorite. That's my spot to tour. Like I love everybody over there. They're so there's a vibe there that I've never experienced anywhere else. And don't get me wrong, I love touring anywhere, but um, there's a special quality to them. And uh, when my wife leaves me, I'm just going to say that it was Putin.
it was all just Putin, man. Yeah, it was his. He's the one who caused it, man. But you talk about Russia, dude. I've never been there, but I see like, I'll be scrolling through like my Facebook feed or something, and it'll be like Hollywood Undead just played this, Moscow, and it's like I see the crowds and the way that they react and shit, bro, and it's fucking insane. And the only
Oh, dude, they're
had
the
that.
best.
You frozen?
I hope
No,
not. Okay.
no, we're
Am
no, we're,
I?
no. You're good. You're good.
No, they're the best. They're the best people in the world. I love it over there. Um, Yeah, no, there's spots too, like the Czechs, and the Germans, and everybody's so different. I think Americans in particular are like spoiled in the sense that there's just a lot. Everybody wants to tour here,
Right.
so people come over here. They've had shows forever, and then obviously, like in places like that, bands really, especially, I mean, outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, bands didn't start going there until fairly recently. At least American bands or traveling bands.
Right.
So I think they're just still super stoked on the whole thing. For us, if you live in Philly or Nashville or New York, there's like 10 bands that are, well, no one's touring now, but you know what I mean, that come through a week. So I think there's just like an energy that's higher than most because they're still super excited about the whole thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we tour, for us, we almost exclusively tour the States. So I've never been to Russia. I played Germany like 3 times. It was always fucking awesome. Japan was wild. The UK
Yeah.
was different for us because we were so small when we went to the UK. Nobody knew who the fuck we were. So it was like,
Hmm.
we always get that from ashes to who? You know what I mean? Like that's the fucking question. You know what I mean? So
I like that, dude. I've never heard that. I actually like it. I'm gonna text anytime you text me again. I'm just gonna say from ashes to who?
yeah, dude, Jacoby started that shit.
Oh, it was
Like,
Jacoby.
yeah, back in 2014, 2015, someone did an interview and we were on tour with Jacoby and they were asking about us and Jacoby was like, from ashes to who? And I'm like, you motherfucker, like you just shit, that shit ain't ever gonna die now. People are just gonna be saying time.
Dude, when we were out touring with Papa Roach, this was when all the COVID stuff popped off. But we were out in Europe, and I have big hands. Well, I'm a big dude, and he's like, "Damn, man, you got them honey baked hands." And I was like, "What?" Like he's just Jacoby is one of those dudes. Everything he says that comes out of his mouth is like exciting and funny,
Yep.
and Honey Bad, that was one I'd never heard from Ashes to Who. I've never heard. He's just on point. Don't try and get into. He should be like trying to write diss songs because he'd be so good at it. You know what I mean? Just his shit.
Quick. He's quick, bro.
Oh,
Like
he's
every time
smart, dude.
I got something witty to say and I just feel inferior to his wit.
You can't compete with that kind of energy, dude. Well, dude, he's fucking like, what's going on, everybody? And I'm like barely waking up, So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna lose this diss war. Um, the honey baked ham things, I guess, is not technically a diss, but it certainly wasn't a compliment.
What does that even
Yeah,
mean? Baked hands.
honey baked. So instead of honey baked ham, I have honey baked hands because my hands are as big as hams.
I like it.
Yes, no, it was good, dude. I was like, this motherfucker.
You got room for a ham tat? You get like half a ham? What,
That's the last thing I'm gonna fucking do. Let's get that out of the way. That would be funny. I would do it for Jacoby though, because I love the guy. But other than that, it would suck because you're walking around with a fucking ham on your hand.
dude, my drummer does that shit. He's got a leg dedicated to all like random ass bullshit people have said to him, like just because he used to drum for Trivium, so like he used to get all sorts of shit when he was drumming for them, and then he goes from like being in this heavy ass metal band to being in a rap rock band. So people give him shit all the time. So something happens out on tour, he gets it tatted on his leg. So he's got like a pant leg just dedicated to random ass tour bullshit.
I actually really like that because so many of the tattoos I have now, I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Obviously I was young. I started getting I got my first tattoo when I was 13 years old in this dude's apartment in Glassell Park where I grew up, and he was just like a cholo dude that did like tattoos on the cholos and stuff. And you know what I gave him for it? A 40 of Mickey's. That was the cost of the tattoo.
Nice.
I know.
You still got that? It didn't fade out, didn't wash away?
So no, it's actually covered up. It's under my arm right here. There's like a cross type thing, but it was so bad looking. Even then, no, it was bad. It was like a prison tattoo. And I've looked at all these things, and some of them are good, some of them are really, really bad. So I like hearing stuff like that where there's like a good story behind it. Because when you're young, you just want to get tattooed to have tattoos, because it's like cool. You want to look like a fucking sailor or whatever. So when there's some background behind them, I always appreciate it.
Yeah, I got like my old local band tattooed on my arm and shit. Like
That's dope though, because that's history. That's your history.
time I look at it, I'm like, what a fucking train wreck. You know what I mean? Like what a train wreck my local band was. But Maddie, he's got like the one that I always see is he's got a seagull on his leg, and it's because they had like a joke like Steven Seagull. So you know what I mean? So he's got a seagull. Our last drum, like we had a thing where we turned Metallica's Enter Sandman into this dude going around the whole tour just mouthing his name to Sandman, and he got a picture like a cartoon character, like super extra, right? So he's got like a flat top and he's got a big long goatee in the front. He's got him tatted on his fucking leg now, and it says "Go get him, Greg." Like, I mean, he just gets like, it's so he does. He's got stories because my stories are all fucking lame. So it's like I ain't got a cool story like that.
Yeah, no, dude, I honestly, I have to say, I don't either. Like, all of them mean something, but all of the story, nothing like Steven Seagal. That's
Right.
that's a lot better than any story I got. So I
That's what
won't
I mean.
even tell mine.
Yo, so thanks for joining that track, by the way. I know that I've told you already, but I'm sure that the fans want to hear it that are watching. So I appreciate it, homie, because you fucking, I had a good V2, but you fucking took it, man. V2's like all you now. It's all people are going to remember.
Oh, I disagree. They've just already heard that version, so I think they're just, stoked to like. One of the things I love about working like outside. I mean, obviously we've been buddies for a long time, but working outside of your own, like people's interpretation of music when you hear it is obviously different. Otherwise, we'd all be doing the same shit. So I really like getting on other band songs, partially because their interpretation is different. Like none of the stuff you did or Danny did or anybody would have done is what I would have done. But that's what's so cool about it, because it's like you're kind of forced to like rethink things, or like, you know what I mean? Think
Yeah.
outside your own box and stuff. So, I mean, one of the things with rock music especially, and this is kind of starting to improve, if you look at um, hip hop is all collaborations, always someone working with somebody else.
All the time.
We or at least in the rock community, that's like a new thing, and I think one of the reasons rock has kind of died out in general, or not, is partially because everybody's so like, oh no, no one works with anybody else because there's too much ego, or it's like this competition or whatever their mindset is.
Yep.
All hip hop from the beginning to the end is a bunch of people collaborating, and you see that in pop too. I actually see it in every genre of music, except for us. So I'm stoked that rock bands are starting to go like, oh, you know what? Let's work together. Maybe I don't know everything I think I know, or how I can't get in someone else's head. But from my perspective, I never worked with other bands because I was like, no, that's like my competition.
Right.
Like, why would I want to work with them? When in reality, we're all in the same fucking fight, and we're getting jumped by other people. We should probably help each other out, maybe. It's like, so it really does make me happy to see other bands doing it. And I was very, very happy to, like, when Bulletproof came onto the table, I was like, because the song's Beast. It was Beast long before I ever touched anything on it.
Appreciate that, man.
Oh, no, and I mean it, too. I would never say nothing I don't mean like that.
You would say, never say nothing you don't mean. I fucking know that.
Yeah.
You told me, like, yo, that fucking song sucks, bro.
No, yeah, or just don't reply or something.
Right.
That's my normal system, is I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, there's some fucking heat in here.
I say nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, the song was great. I love being a part of it. I'm really, really stoked I even got to to be honest, the opportunity. It's weird because this whole COVID thing is kind of what I feel like breached this whole thing with rock bands, where they're like, well, we can't tour, because rock obviously tours way more than like a hip hop band. Rock is it's a big touring product. We're not about record sales, and it hasn't been that way for a long time. It kind of forced us into a position where it's like, dude, we got to figure this out. We got to work together, because we can't tour and there's nothing to fucking do. And I'd love, and not even just with our collab, I've heard a lot of collabs that have come out in the past year and a half. I was like, dude, that's fucking bitching that they work together. You know what I mean? Because I'm a big music fan, obviously, on top of making it. So I was stoked. It was my honor, and I appreciate it.
That's what I always say, man. Fan first. Yeah, man. And likewise, dude, like, I've been trying to figure out, like, what would be a good track for Johnny Three Tears for, like, it feels like a fucking decade. You know what I mean? So it's like the fact that one came together, and I'm like, man, like, this sounds like some shit that Johnny's got something to say on. And, like, you're so right about, like, bands bringing each other up and shit, man. Like this side of the industry, and you and I have obviously talked about this behind the scenes, you know what I mean? this side of the industry, we got to start lifting each other up, man, because you know, like you said, like it's not a competition. There's enough cake for everyone. We just gotta make that cake. You know what I mean? And once we make that cake, then everyone can eat. So, you know, that's
Yeah,
why I'm always
it,
like shit
we,
like E and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yo,
yeah,
these dudes had it from the fucking get go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, ooh, they knew what, you know. I mean, like Dre putting Eminem on. No one wanted to touch him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, like
Mm-hmm.
fucking fire, man. Like, what are you talking about? So like me, like I want to put. I've been trying to get NF on a track since like fucking before NF was
Oof.
big. And the
You
funny
ju-
thing about that shit is back when I wanted to put NF on a track, nobody knew who NF was. Like he was just this dude rapping, and my record label was like, wow, like he's not really like a dude, like he doesn't really have all that much clout. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. That dude can spit. Like put him on a fucking track. And
mhm.
then thing you know, he drops fucking therapy session and he blows the fuck up. And I'm like, you see, and it's the same thing, man. Like, you know, if we in the rock industry would think ahead and be like, yo, like let's just fucking work with some people and do some shit. And I think that's what we did here. And it's just, you know, it's just a lot of fun too, man. That's another thing. Like, plus you don't got to write as much if you get ahead of the game. You know what I mean? Like you only got to write one verse, and it's like, all right, that was easy as shit.
Well, dude, the other thing is too, you're learning. So like people don't, it's the ego. To me, this is like the mental aspect of music is they don't want to accept that they don't know something. So I love it because when I listen to something, it's not what I would do. And you're kind of forced into a situation where you're like, okay, I have to like listen to this, and you go, man, there's some shit I don't know because this guy's interpretation was that much different than mine. And rock people, at least in our world, I think need to accept like, hey man, I don't fucking know everything. But you've played these fucking festivals and all the bands walk around like they don't like know each other and everybody. It's just
Yeah,
like a parade of everybody trying to be cool. And that kind of shit is like I don't know. It makes me dislike like musicians. And I tell people that all the time. I was like, I don't really like bands very much because they're like I just think they're douchebags. And that's
yeah.
from
Point in
those experiences. If we could get to that level where we go, okay, we're like you said, there's enough cake for everybody, or even, hey, there might be some shit I could do better, and maybe by listening to someone else, I might learn something or pick up on something, even if it's a little thing. Um, when rock bands get to that point, then I think we can get back to the point where like hip hop's at and pop's at, because rock at one point was the biggest music genre in the world.
Yep.
And now I think we're like behind polka. I don't even know.
Yeah, I've been ghetto for a couple years now, bro. And I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? Like the of the industry, man. Like it's just we're just fighting and scrapping and just trying to get up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like that's how I feel like just being in rock. I'm like fuck, like especially when I write a badass. You know, you pour your heart into music. You know what I mean? So it's like when I write something that's dope as fuck and I can feel it, and then it just falls on deaf ears because the industry's just shot. Like
Hmm.
it's like fuck, man. Like I know that hits. Like here's an example, like the track "Panic" that did well off the record that we just
Yep.
did.
I know the song. Great
I
song, by the way.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I felt that shit. You know, you know how it is when you like do
Yep.
something, you feel it. You know.
If you're giving yourself the chills, that's when you know you're on to something. You know what I mean? Because we're reacting in the same way you want someone else to hear it or feel it.
Yep, yep. And I got told by the industry. You know what I mean? It wasn't even fans, you know, because the fans love it. And I think that the more people it gets in front of, the more people are going to be like, fuck yeah, this is what it's about right here. But the industry on our side goes, well, I mean, it's not Shine, you know what I mean? And I'm not, no stab at Shine Down because I love Shine Down, but like we're completely polar opposite of the area of rock. So, you know what I mean? So they're
Right.
like, not like this anthem arena big rock, like it's scrappy metal with rap mixed into it. And it's like, it's different. So like we kind of got told like, hey, like, you know, you need to tone back on the screaming and tone back on the rapping and tone back on what you guys do as a band. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, you know, this industry can eat. It's just like we got to bring up the underground a little bit more. Where you guys have been fucking rolling with an iron fist for years. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, our thought process was always from the very beginning was like, no, there couldn't be a filter because we'd actually done quite a few bands before Hollywood Undead, and it didn't, we were trying to sound like the Deftones. We're trying to do this, and we're like, we ran through the gauntlet, and it was like we got nowhere. partially because we were trying to be like Shinedown, or trying to be like the Deftones, or trying to be like these other bands, because that's what you feel like the box you're supposed to be in if you want to be successful. And when we started Hollywood Undead, it was just like a kind of a no holds barred attitude. It's like, if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. Fuck it. But let's just at least do what we want to do.
Yep,
Not,
same, bro.
you know,
Same.
same shit. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you had your first local band tattooed on you. It's like at those stages of our lives, you're just trying, you want success, or you want to make money, or all these other things. And as like time moves on, you realize there's a lot more important things about music, you know, and your job is really, from my perspective, is to touch people and to communicate. And all the pain and shit that you have, there's a lot of people who don't have the opportunity that you have to talk about it. So your job is to talk for these people. And that's a much, much more important job than making money or walking around a festival like an asshole. So it's like, there's a lot of that stuff in our scene that I just got like sick of. And I was like, dude, I don't even want to be a part of it. Now I'm starting to see kind of a turnaround where people are like, you know, maybe our genre or our music is I wouldn't say failing, but it's certainly not doing what these other music genres are doing, because it's too competitive. You know, like fucking look at Ice Cube. Like Ice Cube's NWA, he had West Side Connection, and Ice Cube has had success on his own, but Ice Cube always goes back to his homeboys and works with them. Be Real doesn't go, oh, you know, I'm going to duck out of Cypress Hill and go do some Be Real shit. And don't get me wrong, Be Real works with other people. But I think they've always just kind of supported each other in a different way, because they're like, well, yo, we're in the same game. We're in the same grind. Yep. Why, you know, it doesn't make any fucking... And I just always felt like that was unique to our world, where it's like, who's this fucking dude? Like, he's a dick? Because we're young, or because we're having some success? You had 10 times as much success as me. What do you care if we're selling records now? Like, it's always been one of those things. And competitiveness in music is good if it's towards music, where it's like, you know, damn, those guys just dropped a fucking heater. We gotta try harder. We gotta work harder. That's a great thing. Right. But in the sense where it's like, I'm better than you, or I sell more tickets than you, or I can do this and you can't do that, that's when I'm just like, dude, I just don't have time. Just not interested. Fuck off.
I don't fuck around with that shit anymore. I got into that headspace a little bit, where it was like I had to compete with everybody, because I was, again, scrapping coming up. I gotta win. I gotta get this.
Right.
Like, I'm whatever. I mean, I got a family. You know what I mean? I got a house. Like, I gotta. My son's fucking basically the same age as my fan base. You know, half my fan base and shit. So it's like,
I know what you mean.
You know, so it's like, you know, for me, I'm all about like just love and respect, and just making sure that people can eat. I was just saying this to my wife the other day. I was like, you know, I'm in the only industry where people will, like, in bands and people who don't like what you're doing will, like, basically pray for your demise. And it's like,
dude, yeah.
Could you imagine doing that to the dude that works at the convenience store down the street, just walking into his job and be like, I hope you get fucking fired, bro. You know?
Yeah.
I don't like the way you sell me lottery tickets, man. I hope you get fucking fired.
No, dude, it's, you know, women get too much flack for being what we call catty, quote unquote. Dudes are catty. They, at least in our world, where it's like, I feel like, and dude, you're talking like big timers. These guys are already like set. They've sold 30 million records, and they're still like snobbish to you. It's like, what are you trying? Like, you don't have anything to prove. What do you care if I'm having some small sliver of the success you've had in your life?
Yeah.
But dudes are bitches, and I don't mean that in the female. I mean just their attitudes. It's like, dude, well, you know, it is what it is. And it's one of the reasons I only have like 7 friends. It's like, dude, I just get tired. You know what I mean? And I'm talking like half of that's my family. Yep. So it's like, fuck everybody else. But the uplifting aspect of this is, I think some of these people are starting to come around and go, okay, this isn't some big who has a bigger dick show. This is like, what can we make? What can we create? Because if rock doesn't do that, in my opinion, I'm not even kidding, the genre will be extinct eventually, because people will just be like, What's the point? And that one of the reasons the people who still sell the most tickets are bands from like the fucking 80s is because no one's doing what we should be doing,
Yep.
which is working together, working to help each other, working to make better music. There's tons of dudes who make music that know shit I don't know. And I have no problem admitting that. 15 years ago, maybe I would have had a problem with that, but that was just because I was insecure, with my own position in life or whatever. But it's like, dude, everything I do is about now, what can I get from this? Even with Bulletproof, as a specific example, I went in and I listened to the song like 15 times before I even hit you up because I was like, okay. And I was already learning something because it's not my flow. And what Danny does is not what I would. And you can glean things from that. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, I'm learning from somebody else and like what they do. We don't all have to do the same shit, but the point being that if you actually open your fucking ears and listen to this stuff open-mindedly, you actually might get something from it too, as opposed to like, oh, that's not what I do, so
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's what I've been doing with Hobson lately. Like
I
I've
love
always
Hobson.
been a fan of Hobson, but I never really like dove into his shit. And like I love NF, you know what I mean? And I think all the fans know how much I love NF
Yeah,
because like Flo and his, he's just a
he's
top
such
notch.
a great storyteller. His
Right.
stories are just
He
bam.
tells stories that people can relate to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when he put, I mean, I had already listened to Hobson, I known a lot of his stuff, but I never really dove in. And when he put him on Lost, when NF put Hobson on Lost, I was like, man, like Hobson just fucking destroyed that part. And I was like, I got to go back through this dude's catalog because I hadn't given him a fair shake. I didn't feel
Right.
back through his catalog and I started listening. And then I started writing raps for this new record that we're working on. And I'm like, yo, like my flow is like a lot like Hobson all of a sudden because I just been listening to Hobson so much. And I'm just like listening to him like, damn, like that dude. Because honestly, to be honest with everyone watching and you, there were certain things that like I struggled with as a lyricist or as a rapper, like certain flows that I would struggle with. The
Totally.
guys in the band really have a great musical sense when it comes to like rhythm and percussion and stuff like that. So they would be like, nah, you need to do it, pick up on the upbeat right before the down here and like, dude, you know what I mean? And I would
Yeah.
struggle. I don't feel that. That's not the way that, but now I'm like just doing it. And it's
Yeah.
because I my mind up to other people and other artists and I'm like just listening and I'm like now it's just like coming to me second nature. It's fucking crazy.
And you're right. And dude, typically, just start on the one is typically what you're going to be doing. And then you listen to people like him or other guys who have this capability, and they're starting it. They're busting it like half notes and stuff like that, where you're like, what the fuck is that guy doing?
Yeah.
If we didn't listen to music and appreciate music, none of us would be any better than we are. I remember, dude, the Beach Boys and like the Beatles, because I love both bands. Um, those guys are all. You're talking like out of those two bands, you're talking top five as far as songwriting quality goes. When they had just finished Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys had finished Pet Sounds, or I think it was Pet Sounds. I'm kind of I believe. And so Brian went in to go hear fucking Revolver or what, Rubber Soul. I forget what fucking record it is. He said he wanted to give up on music because this guy was written like some of the best rock material ever. But when he heard the Beatles in their new record, he was like, he said it killed him because he knew at that point, I'm never going to be as good as these dudes. And they really, Paul McCartney and Lennon, however you feel about your own personal taste, this like stole his soul, the fact that these guys were that good and he didn't feel like he was good enough. And it blows my mind because this guy still, maybe you're not as good as Lennon McCartney or George Harrison, but you're still brilliant. But I think there's just too much competition where it's like, dude, there's tons of guys that I'm never going to be as good as.
Yep.
Dude, Tom Petty or John Fogerty, I'm never going to be as good as Eminem or Rakim or whoever. It's just the way it is. But I'm still me, and I have some part or paragraph in this long story to tell.
Yep.
But we just struggle with that, and I think it's all ego based stuff. It's all like, but dude, there's always going to be someone better than you, and there's no way around that. I'm sorry, unless you're like fucking, I mean, there's a few of them out there, and I'm not going to name names, that are probably like, okay, no one's probably going to touch that. You know, it's like Babe Ruth when he had the home run record. Then Hank Aaron beats it. No one thought that was a possibility. But Barry Bonds beat that, obviously, but I won't count that because that dude was juicing. And I've done some steroids, and I know how much stronger it made me. So that doesn't count. But,
home
you
run
know,
race story.
What's that?
That home run race was a different story, man. That was that's a whole different era, a whole different fucking ball game, no pun intended. Barry Bonds was like, I mean, he was fucking massive, bro. And it was like nobody knew that he was juicing. Come on. That dude was fucking
the owners all knew they were juicing too. The thing is, if you look at Barry Bonds early, he was a speedster. He was stealing 30, 40 bases a year.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he looks like fucking the Hulk. It's like, okay, and Mark McGwire was always bigger. But obviously he got Sammy Sosa. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that dude's deal is, but he was doing more than steroids.
I feel you though, bro. All that shit, like thinking like that way, like, oh, this dude's so good, or like I did that too. Like I did that for a long time with certain people. I'd be like, man, they're so fucking good, and it's like that just put all this other pressure on me too. And it's just like, for me, I just want to create, you know. And it's like I just want to. I don't know. Like I think that we're both in that same headspace now where we're at in our lives, where it's just like, fuck all that other noise. I'm just gonna create some shit. I'm gonna be me. Like you just did your fucking. I'll segue that right into you just did your solo shit, man, and that shit's dope as fuck. And you know what I mean? It's not like when you were doing that. I mean, I'm not in your head, and you didn't tell me this, but I can only assume that you weren't like, well, I got to be this person, or I got to be as good. Like you're in that headspace now where you're like, I'm just doing my thing. I'm I'm gonna say my piece.
That's all life is about. And to be honest with you, it's not even just musicians. To anybody who's watching this, your job is to tell your story. Nobody else's. And you can't look, you know, and I think people do this in all walks of life, obviously. Like you said, with the 7-Eleven dude, go to the fucking Circle K dude and say, bro, I hope you get fired. No, because there's more ego in music because you're getting attention from other people. But in all walks of life, dude, your only role in this world is to be the best you. And there's always going to be someone better than you, worse than you. There's always going to be someone who has more money and this and all this stuff. And I think, unfortunately, when you're young, and especially in the music industry, because of the ego, you start thinking you're not good enough, or how come I'm not doing this or that, and this guy's doing that. Oh, I suck, or, you know, whatever. It's not that you suck. It's just, you know, it's all a roll of the fucking dice at the end of the day for all of us, no matter what field you're in. Just do your best job of being the best version of you, no matter what you do. And that was kind of, you know, when you let those things go, and maybe it's a part in getting older, and I'm old, so I'm not, I don't, you know, what's that?
You just had a birthday.
I did, dude. I don't want to talk about it, but,
I know about him at a point.
Dude, it's just one of the, yeah, like, I want to ignore it. But when you're young, you have a lot more pressure on you because you look at those things, and I think it impacts you more. As you get older, and maybe it is just a part of getting older, but I don't know. I know older assholes too. But dude, your life, that's all you have. Your path, your life. Be a good fucking you, and you'll get through life pretty well. Trying to be a good. I can't shoot like Steph Curry, dude. The second I start bothering why can't I shoot fucking like Steph Curry? Dude, my life's going to be miserable because my comparison is Steph Curry. Or and it goes down the line, too. Just be a good version of you. Work on you. We all have enough problems that the person in the mirror will keep us busy for the rest of our lives. Don't point out other people's problems and all that stuff. And it's just, you know what I'm talking about.
Along, period. Right there. That shit you just said, like, I say that all the time. Just don't be a piece of shit. Just fucking be yourself. Don't be a piece of shit. Like, we got into a point, and I don't mean to roll this into something else, but we got into a point as a people where we're just in everybody's fucking business all the time. Like, and we're like comparing and like, oh, well, I got to be this and I got to do that and I got to be this person and that. And it's like, yo, just be you. Just be you and do your fucking thing.
Most people, and this is because people don't want to deal with their own shit. So it's easy. And this is on the opposite end of that spectrum to go, oh, look at that guy. He's a dick, or this person's like this, or this person's like that. The reason people do that is because it's easier than looking in the mirror and dealing with their own shit. So like music for me especially is I don't write songs about other people. I write songs about what is your fucking deal? What's your issue? I ask myself that every day. And I've improved, obviously. You're always, that's really the goal. But anything you should do in any sense, and it should always be introspective, because there's plenty of people out there with fucking bigger problems than you. There's plenty of, dude, if you live in, if you have fucking clean water to drink 25 feet from you at all times, you're in a really, really good position. You just don't fucking realize it
Yep.
because you've never been anywhere else. But I've seen those places and I've been there. And I'm like, dude, I got to stop fucking bitching about car insurance. It costs a lot over here. This is bullshit. It's like, dude, my problems are so insignificant compared to so many other people's problems. Just keep life in perspective. Be a good person. Don't hurt anybody if you can help it. And don't get me wrong, because it might be hypocritical, because I've hurt people. But I'm just speaking from experience that all those things are always, in the end, very regrettable. And it's like, just be cool. It really is. Life is literally that simple. Just be tolerable for everybody else and tolerate everybody else, and we'd all live in a much better fucking world.
You know what's really regrettable, man? How many times I walked on y'all's bus drunk as fuck back in the day, just like blacked out fucking. I can remember, I can remember walking on your bus at Rock Allegiance, but I can't remember walking off your bus.
Well, dude, I was doing the same shit, so it's
Yeah.
like, and dude, I agree. I wasted a lot of fucking time, and drinking and drugs and all that stuff. Dude, you're just killing yourself anyway. So it's like, and I'm not saying, oh, don't drink, don't do this, don't do that. But I think a lot of that, it has to do with just feeling comfortable, especially when you're first touring, and you know what I mean. You
Yeah.
wanna. Most people drink socially because they're socially uncomfortable. So I think, like, I know that was like the beginning of your guys. This is when you guys were first touring and stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of like, because you don't know where you're at, what you're doing, and stuff like that. I did
Yep.
the same exact thing. And then I drank for a long time after that. But dude, it's a weird fucking scenario to be put in. So I never was like, this guy's wasted. Like, yeah, we were all wasted. We're all trying to just kind of fit in, and that all goes back to that same conversation about, like, people are fucking dicks, so you feel uncomfortable, so you're like, I'm gonna fucking pound this JMO, and then I'm gonna feel a lot better about myself, or at least I won't care as much. It's what we do. It's
Yeah, I
sad,
did
but it's true.
a tour right before COVID hit. I did a tour with Skillet. Have you ever played with them?
So, oh yeah, dude, those guys are fucking awesome.
Like the nicest people
We
I've ever in my life, man.
nicest,
Or, you
almost too nice. Where it's like, dude, you're making me feel like you're like I'm the biggest asshole in the world because you're so nice.
know, y'all have always treated us good. I want anyone watching thinking that y'all have always treated us good. But like, what I was getting at is, I did that tour. I hadn't done a lot of touring up to since the past couple of years, since before we've toured last sober. You know what I mean? So like, that was one of the tours I can remember very, very specifically, going back to like feeling comfortable around people that you've never met before. Because obviously we've met before, so it's a different fucking ball game. But like, touring with them, I never really, I mean, I know John, like I met him at festivals, but I never like did entire tours. So I didn't know what to expect, especially since, like, they got a big Christian following. They're basically a Christian band. We're not, not like I don't believe in some of the values that they have, but that's not what I'm getting into. But, like touring with them, I was kind of worried, you know what I mean? Like I was feeling like, I don't know if, this is where From Ashes to Snooze really going to fit in at, So it was
Right.
like, but the first day of the tour, dude, they called a meeting. And at first I was like, oh, we're going to have a prayer. Like I didn't know what was going on, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know how they approached things. And they called a meeting, all crew, all bands, and it was just us and them got together, and they just like fucking hashed it out right there. It's like, yo, I'm I'm John, I'm Corey, and it like went down. I'm like, yo, like this is like for me, not sipping on a beer, having a drink or something, like this is super comfortable for me. Like that's dope. And I think that rolls back into what we've been talking about with like just bringing each other up and shit. And it was just like that experience for me was like, okay, I guess I don't need to be hammered doing shit, you know what I mean, walking around like an idiot and then waking up the next day going, yo, what the fuck did I do last night?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel you 1 billion% on that subject because, and dude, I'm not sober, but obviously I've toned things down a little bit. I'm not busting fucking 8 balls every day, so I've improved my condition in life and stuff. What I always say, and I know our fan bases, I think, are fairly young. Most of the people on this chat are probably really young. Is there, and drink, have fun, do your thing, but you're never going to land yourself in a better position. It's never going to be better. And it's one of those things that's odd about life, is we do all these things because we think, oh, okay, maybe it's fun. Hey, maybe it is. Is it though? Like when you end up in jail? No, probably not so fun. Or fucking wife leaves you, or whatever the case may be.
Yup.
Typically, intoxicating yourself in any way is never going to land you later into a better position. So I
Fuck no.
always try and keep that in mind and stuff. And don't get me wrong, dude, I still get fucked up sometimes.
Yeah.
I still do. I just don't do it every single fucking day of my life, and I do it for celebratory purposes as opposed to like coping purposes.
Yeah.
A really good rule of thumb with booze to me is drink if you're happy and there's something, you're something good happened.
Yep.
The biggest mistake I made is I was just drinking because I was upset or sad or depressed. That's always just going to compound the problem anyway, and you're going to end up worse off the next day, and then you're going to have to compensate even more for those same feelings. So, dude, if it's fucking, the 4th of July or something, cool happens, I'll drink with the best of them. But I'm not going to sit there and fucking cry into my own lap for 3 days. That
Jail was,
is really...
man, I got to the point in my personal life, not in my tour life, but I got to the point in my personal life where I was getting arrested all the time because I was dumb shit. And I was like getting in fights with, people like family in my life and the people that were important to me. Like I was just being a selfish prick, you know what I mean? So it was like, and I'm one of them all or nothing type people, So it's like, if I'm drinking, I'm going in. I'm not like the dude that can just sit back and have like 2 beers and be like, it was a good day. I had 2 beers.
Oh,
and like,
2 Miller Lights. Thank you, sir.
Guy, like I'm the guy who's just completely, I'm naked in a field somewhere by the end of the night. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? What's worth what to me? You know what I mean? Like his family and my career worth more to me than being a. I'm not. I know plenty of people who drink. All my friends still drink and do all that shit. You know what I mean? So, and they're really good at it. Like they're really good at drinking. You know what I mean? And
it's a skill.
Yes, I'm like, y'all motherfuckers drink really well. I don't drink so well, but I got this plan. Check this out. I've talked this over with my wife. 50, 55 years old. Now, we go to the beach all the time. That's like our thing as a family. We go to the shore and we hang out, right?
Okay.
50, 55 years old, I'm going to start drinking again. And it's going to be one of them things where it's like, mixed bitch drink down on the beach with the little umbrella in it. Umbrella overhead, gut hanging out. You know what I mean? That whole situation, bro. I'm looking forward to that shit.
Well, by then, we have nothing to live for anyway, so who gives a shit if you're killing yourself?
Exactly. But the cocaine thing, that's a whole nother level there, bro. My heart would explode.
Oh, dude, I had a huge issue with that. You know what's funny is coke creeps on you. It was like, when I was young, and I used to, I grew up in an area, there's a lot of drugs. It's just the way it is. And I started doing blow, like, passively when I was like 16, 17. I would, here and there and stuff. And I knew a lot of drug dealers, so I never had to pay for it. And then I remember there was a point where it was like, because I always had to ask, when we got signed, we got a big ass check, from Interscope.
Going crazy. Hey, stop it. It's like they hear a squirrel run across.
Oh, you.
You ever see those dudes? You ever see those dudes that do that shit? It was like if people were dogs and they just like fucking yell at each other running.
Dude, it's so tight. Which is all we're doing. We're just barking anyway. But yeah. So anyway, when we got signed, we got a big ass check, or at least to me, I was like, dude, I'm fucking rich because I had never had more than like a couple $100, at one time.
Right.
So that was when I started getting into trouble because all of a sudden I could buy this shit and I didn't have to ask anybody and stuff. And I remember there'd be like a weekend I would buy like a gram of blow, and that would last me like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I was a casual user. And I remember there was a point too where I was like, damn, I need 2 grams to get through the weekend now. And then it was like, I need, an 8 ball. And we were still going out and stuff. Like I would leave the house and shit. And then there was a point where I would buy an ounce at a time. And, you know, at this point, you're talking 12, $1,300. Now, I don't know what it costs, thank God, because I don't want to know. But I wouldn't even leave. So I lived with Jay from the band. And they would all, because none of these dudes were as hardcore as me with this stuff, thank God. They'd be like, all right, we're leaving. We're going out. So I just stopped going out. I would just sit there all night until they got back from the bars at like 2 or 3 and then party with them. It really, and it trickles in. You're like, dude, you get yourself in a lot of fucking trouble because you think, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, there's just a little of this, a little of that, whatever. I'm in a band. There's a band. You can make any justification essentially in your head. And next thing you know, I'm like in deep shit, health wise, family wise. You know, it took about 4 years of like heavy. And I was smoking crack. I would do anything. Like I was like, if I couldn't get blow and stuff, and we toured all the time at this point. So if I couldn't find coke, I'd ask for meth. If I couldn't find meth, I'd ask for crack, anything. You know, and I'd be hanging out under fucking freeway overpasses, smoking rock with like God knows who, and you know, it comes to a point where you're like, you don't really realize you're in trouble till you're in fucking trouble, and that's one of the reasons I always discourage people from this stuff. Because thank God, you know, I was able to make it out of this whole mess for the most part, and you know, I still have my family intact and stuff. But I didn't for a long time. Like, dude, people got so sick of it, of being around it, that, you know, I got lucky in the sense that I didn't OD, and I did OD. I OD'd twice. One time I had to go to this hospital in Kentucky and get my stomach pumped. Like, this nasty shit. It's like, how can this end up good if I'm in the hospital getting my stomach pumped at 4 a.m. in Kentucky? There's no happy ending unless you realize, yo, this is trouble.
Literally, like most of my friends from growing up, same stories, you know what I mean? But they're like, if I go down my list of like really close friends from growing up, they're all dead. Like all of them. Fucking crazy. I'm just grateful not to be a part of that, because for me, it was like, you and I are like polar opposites when it comes down to like the drugs and shit, because you was on the uppers, I was on the downers. So for me, it was all about Oxy and Percocet, and I'll tell you what, I did it all the way up until Wayne Static died, because I didn't even think about it. Honestly, it wasn't even a thought for me. Like, I would just get super, super drunk, and then I would just blow a bunch of fucking Percocet and then go to bed. And I didn't really even think about it. You know, I'm smoking weed, I'm drinking, I'm doing Percocet. Yo, this shit stops people's hearts. I didn't know. I didn't even know that. Like, it was like I was so naive that I wasn't even thinking about it. It was just like, yo, this makes me feel good. And then I remember when Wayne Static died, and how he died and what they said about how he died. And I was like, yo, like, I'm lucky to fucking, like, what I've been doing, I'm lucky to be alive right now. Yep. And that was when it hit me. It took someone in the industry that I'm in dying for me to go, fuck, like, if I keep going down this path, I'm going to end up dead too. Like all my friends growing up, which I miss dearly. But I mean, like, you know, they're all dead from heroin. But for the most part, fentanyl. But, you know, I mean, it's heroin, fentanyl, they kind of go hand in hand.
It's worse because it's easy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like fucking crazy, dude. I'm just grateful to be here, man. Sitting here on my ass at fucking almost 3 p.m. Eastern time, fucking nice chair in my home studio, talking fucking 3 tiers about Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, what's life, bro?
Dude. We're extremely, extremely fortunate when you can go through the gauntlet and get through it. And you know, one of the reasons I did not to talk about my shit or anything, one of the reasons I did the Dead Sun Project is for so long, I never tried to glamorize it, but I was just telling people, you know, what I was doing with Hollywood Undead. You know, I was just talking about what my life was. But I think at different stages it might have come across that way. And I really genuinely never meant to do it. And obviously, you know, that's not where we're at now. But the Dead Sun Project, for me, was always an explanation, or, you know, like, not that I did like damage to other people, but I always felt like I have to explain why. And Dead Son was all just about how I grew up, what my life was, and how I ended up in this position. And I can't do that with Hollywood Undead because we're the ones who told the stories to initially start the whole thing. So it's funny because I think we all end up eventually, especially if you live that way, you're gonna have to meet your maker, I guess. And I'm not talking about just being dead. I mean, like, eventually you're gonna have to go, okay, like, who am I? But that's a luxury too, because most people don't realize they've done too many drugs until they're floating somewhere because it's over. You know what I mean? And so just having that privilege of being able to look in the mirror, question myself, and make music about the mistakes I made, that's a massive, massive privilege, because I know, like you, a lot of fucking people who don't get asked that question until they're bleeding in a gutter or whatever. So
Yep.
Anyway,
dude, and that's where I think that's where my turning point in life with like creating this band and all that shit, because I went through a moment where I was like, I got to get sober. You know what I mean? Like, I was just doing really, really bad shit, bad shit. And I, like, at that moment was like, yo, like, I should write some songs about this. I should write some about like what I'm doing.
Let's go.
And then I slipped back into it after I wrote those songs. But you know what I mean? Like, it was at that point where it was like, I was able to actually look in the mirror, and I didn't like what I saw. I was like, yo, this fucking dude's a dick. Like, who is this guy? I don't fucking like this guy.
Yeah.
I was able to start creating on that, man. And like, yo, stop plugging your Dead Son shit on this fucking feed, bro.
That was what I was trying to say. I'm not trying to. No, but dude,
for real, like, if anybody hasn't listened to that Dead Son shit, you need to go listen to it. You can find it on Spotify. It's real easy. I feel like that guy who's like doing the interview, like, listen, if you haven't heard it.
No, thanks, man. No, and I do appreciate it. And you're one of the first people I sent the stuff to, and your answer is always very organic, and I appreciate that. It was one of those things, I think, because it's so polar opposite of everything I had done up to that point, that you have like some kind of, I mean, same for you. If you put out like an acoustic record where you're singing, you're like, what? Because it's just not what they've ever heard you do. But all that stuff, that was one of those things too, one of those breakthroughs, like, where I'm just like, I don't care. And you have this, I think musicians especially feel like they have to have this image, and they have to do this and do that. And sensitivity. And don't get me wrong, we've written like a lot of emotional material within Hollywood Undead, but it was always within the confines of the band. And like, just saying that stuff to people, and they know it's just you, that's it, is always like one of those weird, I don't know, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, what the fuck are people going to think? Are people going to think I'm fucking nuts, or whatever the case may be? But dude, music is meant to be explored. Music is like the last unknown. That's like the trenches in the ocean. Because granted, there's only so many notes and so many things we can play, but music is the only thing in life that still like surprises me. Where when I hear something, I'm like, what?
Yep.
For instance, NF. First time I heard that dude, I was like, oh, damn. Or the first time I heard Kendrick Lamar, I was like, damn, because you don't think there's this output can still happen, and then someone comes out that like blows your fucking wig off, or blows your mind in that sense. And I think music is that one of the reasons it's so important. It's still the great unknown. We're like, dude, we don't know who's gonna come. By the time we're dead, there'll be some other guy spitting fucking nasty shit that I wish I could hear. So I think music is so important to culture and to all of us as individuals, partially because it's like one of the last few unexplored things we have. It's like, dude, that's why kids still want to write music. If it was all done, they wouldn't want to.
That's why I keep trying to up my game with my in-ears, bro, so I can listen to music as long as I fucking can. Because I got this permanent ringing now, you know what I mean? So it's like, fuck, man, like, I hope this ringing goes away so I can listen to music. But no, for real, like with your shit, when you sent it to me before you released it, so when you told me about it and you were like, yo, I'm doing this solo thing, you want to check it out? And I was like, fuck yeah, bro, send me that shit. I initially was like, yo, he's got like this rap thing going on. Like, this is going to be sick as fuck. Like, he's doing his own rap thing. And then you sent it, and it wasn't what I was expecting, because you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me what it was.
Right.
You were just, I got this fucking thing that I'm doing. And you sent it, and I started listening, and I'm like, yo, I didn't know this motherfucker could do this shit. And then I'm like, yo, who's playing? who's playing guitar in this shit? You're like, I am. I'm like, yo, like, I didn't know that you could do it. So I was so caught off guard in a good way. Like, it was like you said, like you hear something new and you're like, what the fuck is that? And
Thanks,
then
man.
with the whole fucking album, I'm like, just going song. I'm like, yo, he's gonna have like a full out rap song here. I know it. It's gonna
Nothing.
happen. No, and I'm just going through it. This is so fucking sick. This is, first off, I thought it was so genuine because you had never done anything like that before. So like when, because we got a song called Wait For Me.
Yep,
And it's
I
the
know it.
first time that I really like sung on a track. And they've been trying to talk me into singing for like 3 records now, bro. Like they're
Yeah.
like, you can sing, dude. Why don't you sing? And I'm like, cause I don't wanna. I don't want to sing. Like I just want to rap. So it
Yep.
was kind of the same thing. Like they talked me into it. We released it, and the fans started asking. Like I saw people asking, who's singing on that track? Like they didn't even know it
They
was
didn't
me.
even know it was you.
Yeah, they're like, track. And it was like, yo, it's me. So then when you sent that, and I'm like, yo, it's the same thing. Like, it's just, you're not expecting it. And for the people who haven't listened to it because it's not being pumped in front of their face that are watching right now, again, I'm just going to plug it one more time. Go fucking listen because it's good. It's different. It's not the Johnny Three Tears that you're used to hearing. And that's a fucking good thing because it's another generation of what you can do. And you can continue doing that for decades, bro. Like you can do that Dead Son stuff till you're like fucking 80, man. Like the Johnny Cash style, I could listen to that shit forever, man.
I really, really appreciate that, and I agree with you too. Like that kind of music, you can kind of get away with when you're 60, and still, obviously someone that probably has to listen to it. But the thing is, in regards to your track, because I really like that song.
Thanks, man.
The best stuff you do, or we do, anybody, is from positions of uncomfortability, and that's why it's so important to put yourself in a compromising situation because the reason you like to rap is probably because you're really comfortable rapping. The reason I like to rap is probably because I'm really comfortable. I know exactly what I'm doing and this is how I do it. And when you kind of have to go into that unknown, that's when obviously it's unpleasant in some respects for people, because you were just not used to it.
Right.
But the cool part about it is you're going to get stuff you couldn't get when you're comfortable. And, music is all about that. I don't know, the first time you feel things and it's supposed to, and don't get me wrong, there's like tough guy songs that I fucking like. I love 50 Cent, but, and cause he makes me feel like a G when I'm fucking cruising, and I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, fuck yeah. But music's real important to everybody who writes it and listens to it is us saying stuff that, maybe we wouldn't want to say. That's why it's important is because you're in a position where you can talk about things that someone else might feel the same way that can't see them. And like even a great example of this is Bulletproof, because when I heard it, I was like, damn, these motherfuckers actually tackled the subject, because a lot of people don't even want to bring it up. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Let alone, and obviously it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about, especially when it comes to kids and stuff like that. But I was so blown away because it takes balls to go, hey, this is here, this is in your face. And it's a lot different when CNN does it or the news does it than when an artist does it. So I actually was my biggest, I think the applause.
Oh shit. Wait, you're back. You
Can you
there?
hear me?
Yeah, I
Oh, okay.
lost
Oh, sorry, dude.
10 seconds. So it was just, I was trying to read your lips, but I'm really bad at that shit, bro.
No, I just admire the fact that you guys did it and that you guys said it, and because it's a really important thing that's happening in society, and not a lot of people want to get into that because it's uncomfortable.
It is, man, but and you're a parent and I'm a parent. So we both go down that. I'm sure, at least I know I do. I go down that path with my son all the time. Like, this shit sucks how much it's publicized, and like the chorus of that song is basically, you obviously rap to it, so but for the people who are watching, like, the voice that's in my head is becoming my best friend. He's no one to mess with. He said. You know what I mean? It's basically coming from the point of the perspective of what this kid has seen. Hey, kid, you want to be a star? Take this. You're going to end up on the news. They're going to put you out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go. Like, I see that shit, and it's like, this is fucking scary to me as a parent. I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, like, can't we tell them something else? Like, put the gun down. Fucking think
Right.
about it. Like, is it gonna make it better? Like, if you shoot all them fucking kids up, what's that gonna do for anybody? The families are gonna be hurting. Your family's gonna be hurting. You're gonna be hurting if you make it out alive. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that I was in a headspace similar to that when I was younger. Cause like, I didn't like going to school. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like much like the music industry. I didn't like the fucking, the cliques. I didn't like
Right.
all that. I wasn't into that. I hung out with everybody. Like, and if I didn't hang out with you, it's probably because you were a fucking asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, that's kind of how I was growing up. So I went through similar situations where I had thoughts like, yo, I could fuck these people up. Now I'm not going to say that I thought about shooting a school up or nothing, but I had thoughts where like, I'm like, yo, I could come to school this day and I could bash this kid's head in because he just made me feel a certain way.
Right.
But instead, I kind of thought about it. Like, I've always had this ability, which I'm grateful for, to be able to kind of have hindsight before it happens, to have intuition on like what is going to happen if I do something. Like, what's the consequence of my action? And
Right.
I guess that's really, my parents and my grandparents and how they brought me up to really think about things before you do them. But I thought about that as a kid. I thought about that fucked up shit. So to be able to put it out there for people to listen to it and go, you know what? That dude thinks the same way that I think.
Right.
Like, he felt the same thing that I feel. And I had a fan that messaged me the other day and was actually saying that he went through a similar situation in school where he was just like, felt like he was going to fucking tear it down. And he said that his little cousin, which is like 12 or 13 years old now, is going through the same thing. And he showed the track that we just did with the feature. He said, I showed this to my little cousin, and my little cousin went, that's exactly how I feel. And he went to his mom, I guess, and was like really excited and told his mom, like, they know how I feel. Like, I feel so much better now. I don't feel like I'm alone anymore. Like, these people
Right.
know exactly. Like, they're my voice. And that's and circle back to the beginning of us chatting today. That's what's so beautiful about what we do, man. You become the voice for so many other people that don't have it. And there's so many bands and artists before us that did that for me.
Yep.
Park was one of those fucking bands, and I don't care. People give us the fucking comparison all the time. I don't give a shit. Like, Linkin Park was one of those bands where I can remember being fucking 16 years old when they dropped Meteora, and I'm like fucking driving down the road in my Acura Integra mad at my ex-girlfriend because she fucking done something, and I'm like screaming my head off to like some Linkin Park, and it's like, yo, that was my voice. And that's what Bulletproof's currently doing, and that's what it feels good to be an artist and be a voice for people.
Dude, and it's a responsibility that neither one of us take lightly. And I think that's where, that saying that, and I've said this a million times, but it's so important to me, at least, that I keep saying it, is the math is the universal language. But I've always been like, no, music. Name one thing that can tie everybody together. And I understand math as far as communication goes, but music is really the universal language. That's where like we can find a common denominator with anybody. And you've seen it a million times because you play shows, you go to shows, and there's just 2,000 people that don't know anybody there. That's like it's just the energy of the brotherhood and sisterhood between all these individuals who have completely different walks of life. They have no idea who the other person is, but they'll sit there and hug. And like, I love being a part of something, even if it's for a brief moment, that brings people together, or brings them some happiness or whatever. Because, dude, if it wasn't for music when I was a little kid, I don't know where I would have ended up. I really don't. Music was the source of like the only consolation I had.
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
And I just wrote that in a lyric to a new song too. It was just like, like I was a rebellious teen, and only it was like I was a rebellious teen. I couldn't focus on nothing that didn't resemble a beat. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the way that, like, I couldn't focus on shit, but music I was able to focus on, man. And like you said, and I say it on stage every time I'm on stage, like, when we walk through that fucking door over there, we're one person. And it's crazy to see, man, because, like, I mean, you'll get fights and shit in the crowd, but I mean, that's because some people get hot-headed and whatnot. But, like, for the majority...
And that's a rarity. That's fucking 2 out of, 2,000 who And those guys, like you said, when you met people at school, I didn't get along with you because you're an asshole. So those are those assholes who are still trying to like bust
Yeah,
chops or bust balls. And there's guys who all, and people, guys and girls, who are just out for, trouble or to make other people miserable. The world's always going to have people like that.
we call them
But
days, bro.
yeah,
Trolls.
yeah,
But yeah, dude,
exactly.
I love it, dude. I can't live without it, man. And I'm glad that we're fucking getting back to it. Hollywood Undead and From Ashes to New need to hit the fucking road again. We were supposed to do it, and then this fucking virus came in and fucked that shit up for us. So we'll just have to figure it out down the road. I'm sure we
We'll
will.
do
But
it. We'll do it. No matter what, we'll do it sooner, hopefully, rather than later. But it was honestly, it was a pleasure working with you guys, and I love all you guys, and you've always been, I think, more than anything, because when I first met you, I love to see um, the advancements not only you guys have made as bands, but as an individual and stuff. And you've made so much progress as a human being, and then of course that reflects in the band because that's the band, all you guys. Um, and I'm happy to see it because a lot of people go down the pipes and go down the tubes and keep living that life where they get off the bus and they can't remember it. And
we've seen it, and we can sit here all day and tell you who it is, but we won't. But
yeah,
you know, we've we've seen it, man, and it's that's another thing I appreciate.
it's real shit.
It's scary. It's fucking scary, dude. Like I see it firsthand sometimes. I'm like, fuck. Like I was that dude for 5 minutes. I don't like that dude. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that you see my growth, man. Because, whew.
Dude, and the other thing too is it's on a personal aspect and a professional aspect because your guys' music keeps getting better and you keep getting better. And so obviously there's a correlation between those two things. So it's like a lot of people don't want to sober up, especially in the artistic sense, because they think they won't be able to write or they're not going to be as creative but I think that's a huge fucking myth. The last two records that we've done, I was sober for all of it. Not one. No, yeah, three. Three records is when I was finally like that. After those first three, um, and I thought it was some of the best work I was able to do. At first, you're like terrified because you're like, dude, am I going to be able to write? Like, because it's so tied in with drugs and drinking. Like, the mindset I would try and get myself into. Um, but I've been able to write three more records and my solo record, and I was sober for all of them. I didn't drink a single day when we recorded Dead Sun. It's like it's one of those things, like it's such an easy labyrinth of shit, and there's no way out of the labyrinth unless you go backwards. So you have to retreat, I guess, and say, dude, there's no like, hey, I'm gonna try this and I'll only drink on Mondays and every other day or whatever, the whole thing. So I'm proud to see, or I'm happy to see that you've how much you've grown as a human being.
I've seen
Not to,
that with a lot lately when you were saying about like doing a bunch of stuff and like you were worried that if being sober may affect that while you're working on it. And I've actually said that recently, like, I'm like, he's been fucking working. Like I was actually thinking that with your solo thing, because y'all are putting out records pretty consistently. It's like every year now, which is what artists really want to do. You know what I mean? So it's like y'all up the game from like you were doing like 2 years, and now it's like every year, and now you guys are pumping shit out. You know what I mean? So it's like when you do that, and then you put out your solo thing, and I'm still talking to you, and the stuff that you're doing in your personal life and shit like that, and I'm like, where's this motherfucker? Like, does he sleep? Like, what is he doing, man? Like,
no, dude, I still do coke. I only quit the drinking so I don't
oh,
sleep.
there's where there's the answer. There's the answer.
There's the
All right,
secret.
what's that?
That's the secret, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Dude,
I look at certain artists that I know that fucking do blow like crazy, and I ain't gonna throw anybody under the bus. But and in a different side of the industry, I look at them and I'm like, yo, if I was that motherfucker, I would be dead right now. I would be just literally
dude,
dead.
you'd be surprised. There was a day I was in Vegas and I was with this guy named Tony Lovato. He was in a band called Mest.
Yeah. Okay.
You remember Mest? They're like
Yeah.
punk band.
Yeah.
And he's still a really, really good friend of mine. But he had just gone sober and like was in AA, all this stuff. But he still wanted to go to Vegas because he's like, I don't want to change my life around. And so we got out there and I bought, a big sack of Coke. And it was, so I was doing it and he was just there and it broke all the blood. Like, I don't know what it was cut with. No one really knows at this point. The blood vessels and like my eyes cracked it all at once. Like, my nose started just like leaking and my eyes were all like my eyes went completely red in like 2 seconds from this crap. And one of the most remarkable things to me about this, and I'm not, I'm being a dumbass, I'm not looking for sympathy or empathy, but the next day I snorted it again.
Jesus.
That's the kind of, because it still got me high. And
Right.
I didn't even care that, I had all these physical ramifications from doing it. It's a slippery slope where it's like you start to get to a point where all you care about is I think getting high, getting fucked up, and all this stuff. And the truth is, there's always there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and people just are afraid to look at it or afraid to see it because they think it's going to be a darker place or a worse place because this is how they coped for so long. But for me, getting through it and onto the other side, you realize how beautiful the world can be. It's not all dark, and I know, dude, there's dark shit. There's evil people. I understand all those things. I've lived in reality for a while, but I think people are so afraid to. From our perspective, it's writing songs. From someone else's, it's how do I deal with my spouse or my kids without the whatever it is.
Right.
And it's all in our heads. Everything, all of it. It's just once you get that mind over matter attitude and you get to the other side, you go, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. On the other side of that
Uh-oh.
is like, oh, did I fuck up?
Back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think your wife got all fucked up for a second, but you're back.
Okay. But anyway, there's a paradise there if you can get through the purgatory. You know what I mean?
You should stop snorting coke that's cut with Tide. I think that.
Well, no, dude, it was tied. It wasn't, it was straight, one of those packets. I was doing that packet challenge.
Yo, it's Tide.
I started that shit.
You eat the pods. You don't snort the fucking pack.
That's where I fucked up.
That's where you fucked up, bro.
And dude, it wasn't for the high efficiency washing machine. It was the old school Tide. And that was another mistake I made.
You were just cleaning out the system, bro. You were just.
Dude, I thought that was taking a shower.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's better than injecting yourself with disinfectant.
I did that too. I did that. That didn't work.
Well,
we got to try it all. No.
We ain't gonna go down that road, homie. We ain't going down. All right, bro. Well, my label's trying to get a hold of me.
So you got to do your thing. Well, dude, it's always a pleasure. Obviously, I'll talk to you on the side, but
let's do this.
Thanks for having me.
Cool as fuck, man. Like,
oh, dude, I loved it.
I don't do shit with my day. This is the highlight of my fucking day right here, bro. Like, I literally, like, I don't know. Right now, I'm out of the studio. We took a week off, which I don't know if you've ever done that when you're writing, but man, it feels really fucking good.
Clear your head, dude. Get the space. People try and force themselves into working 12-hour days for 6 days a week. The product is going to suffer. You got to take the okay.
Dude, it feels like, like most of the time we're flying from here. Like, I'm on the East Coast, you know what I mean? So like we're flying from Philly to fucking LA and we're staying in LA for 6 to 8 weeks to get a record done.
Right.
Yeah. And now we're doing it here. Like we're doing it in my back fucking yard. You know what I mean? Like 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes from my house. So I get to go home at the end of every studio day and just fucking chill. And now we got a week off. We were supposed to go play some festivals that ended up getting canceled. But now I got a week off. The dudes went home because they're all East Coast. So they got to go home and be with their families or their significant others and shit. And it's like, I feel like I'm ready to write a whole nother fucking record, dude. Like,
bingo. Bam.
Yep.
Take that time, dude.
Fuck yeah. Well, we need to do something again sometime, bro. Like, and
anytime.
I'm always down to do some shit like this. This is fun, man. Maybe next time we can hop on here and we could answer every fan sarcastically.
Well, dude, I feel bad because we didn't answer any of their questions. We just talked to each other. But next time, maybe we could say, okay, sorry to hear that it got canceled. Can't wait for both of you. You're in concert, person, and wonderful man. Thank you all for all that. And I'm sorry I didn't read the other ones.
Nah, it's all
We'll
good.
do that next time.
This shit again, and we'll do that exclusively. But like, I think what could be cool is we get on here and we answer every single one wrong.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
we just start we just start some shit, bro. Like maybe what we could do is we could get on and we could fight. Like there was like a falling out right after this, and like we fucking hate each other. You're on one side of the aisle, I'm on the other side of the aisle. We can't get along.
I'm into this.
See what I mean? Like, let's script it. Let's get back on here and let's fuck with everybody, dude.
All right, Matt.
All right, brother. Good
All right,
talking to you.
brother. Good talk. Thanks for everybody for watching. And dude, always a pleasure talking to you, man.
All right, brother. Talk
Cheers,
soon.
man. Later.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Love y'all. We'll be live again soon, I'm sure. And if Danny and Maddie are still watching, I fucking hate you. All right. Peace out.